All right, now we're going to talk about Italian. Why Italian? Why should we sing Italian? Why is Italian the best language for singing? And it's pretty well recognized, I think, that the Italian language is and always has been the best language for singing. But a lot of languages have legato built in. A lot of languages have pure vowels. So what is it about Italian that is the one main difference that makes it the most important language to study to be able to sing well? And, you know, French is very, very legato. I was taught, for instance, to always sing it very, very, very legato, and then to try to get German as legato as possible. And there's a whole German breathing and support method to try to attain a true legato in the singing. But Italian is the language that takes care of all of that if we just understand one thing about Italian. It's the only language that has double consonants. If I start off with just about, well, let's say there's so many words with double consonants that if you learn Italian, you'll end up being a diaphragmatic singer. You will support your voice here. If I say, what a beautiful young lady, I say, che bella fanciulla, che bella fanciulla. If I sing, I get, se bella, e bella fanciulla. This young lady has a beautiful mouth, right? La bocca bella di fanciulla, la fanciulla ha una bocca bella, la fanciulla ha una bella bocca. In other words, when I'm singing along in the Italian language, just to learn it and sing it, speak it and so forth, I'm practicing double consonants all the time. And there is a technique, Lily Lehman describes it very clearly in her book, called the breath stop. You start out the breath, it's based on something called the Valsalva maneuver, and you exhale, and then you stop. And when you stop, it stops right on the diaphragm. So if I start off with some words, let's say I do O mio bambino caro. It starts right off the bat. O mio babbo means daddy in Italian. And it has a big double B. O mio bambino caro. In other words, I've already established an attachment, a breath stop, as Lily Lehman would call it, a Valsalva maneuver. I've already established it in the third word of this aria. Right? So if I don't sing diaphragmatically doing that language, I'm not really singing Italian properly. You shouldn't stop Italian. One reason Caruso said in his book, never sing while you're still breathing in. See, because this double consonant, we probably go, ba, 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 puts my voice way up there if I do that. If I want to go, ba, 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 ba. Now this is only the first of many double consonants. Ba 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 ba, right? So let's try C. Well, there's a word with double C in it that starts with a B. La boca, la boca. You can't say la boca. La boca is Spanish. La boca is Italian. I mean, you must stop that double consonant. La boca, la boca, la boca, la boca, la boca. Babbo, 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 la bocca, 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 babbo, babbo. In other words, the double consonant, breath stop, Valsalva maneuver, causes me to lean my breath against my diaphragm. That is why it is so important to learn the Caruso, Lily Lehman, and Tetrasini, the great singers of the past, who all described breathing in the lower back. You breathe in the back because it gives you a reservoir there to lean the breath, so you can lean your breath forward against your diaphragm. If the breath is up here, or even pushed out in the front, ba, 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 ba. The minute I do that, I'll start getting a sort of tightness in my throat, and it gets nasal. Ba, ba, ba. So the last thing you want to do is push your stomach out when you breathe in. That's what a sleeping baby does. But little laughing and crying babies, as Pavarotti, well, gone now, God bless him, But Pavarotti said he learned to sing watching his children breathe and laugh and cry. And babies, when they get active, they go, ah, ah. Talk about a Valsalva maneuver. The breath is absolutely on the diaphragm, and the tummy kicks outward, not inward. So if I'm asleep, then my stomach pushes out when I inhale, and it collapses inward when I exhale. But if I sing that way, if I push my breath out, I go, and puts my voice in my nasal cavity down here, the false mask, and then I have to modify like mad to get a high note because my middle voice is out of place. That's where it's going to be in my nose. So I have to modify. That modification, by the way, also closes my nose. But if I would breathe like the babies breathe, like Caruso said in his book, he said, pull in the abdomen, right, and fill up your lower back. And Lily Lehman goes through this whole thing about breathing the same way. Tetracini said to fill up the first drop of air goes in the lower rear quadrant of the lungs. You fill up the lungs from the bottom to the top, and then you lean the breath over like you're leaning a ladder against the wall. And if you can identify the way to the ladder, it's a fabulous way to sing. But it is something that also happens. If I'm a back breather, I breathe behind me and go, when I say, bella, 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 bocca, 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 babbo, 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 the breath automatically comes from my back and presses up against my diaphragm. This word press, push, lean, right? There are a lot of words that have been used. For instance, Mattia Battistini, the famous, probably the greatest baritone that ever lived, called it pressing his chest. La, ba, ba. But if you sing Italian and you have to do these double consonants all the time, that is what naturally happens. And you go through, you know, if you go through, try to go through the alphabet. Let's say you go to, now we did B, C. Let's do D. Freddo, freddo, freddo. Right? You say, il tempo fa freddo. The weather is cold. Freddo, 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 una voce fredda. You can just say a cold voice, una voce fredda, right? You can say or you say a cold mouth, la bocca fredda. Anyway, these make great vocalists when you combine all of these, right? Then we have F, words like buffone, buffone. What is a basso buffo? He's a comic player. He is a bass who does the comic roles and character parts. So buffone is a clown. So how do we use that? Buffone, 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 ba, 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 bocca, 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 freddo, 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 fredda, fredda. All of those double consonants are attaching my voice to my diaphragm, or my breath, I should say, which is the voice. So let's go to G. What about G? G is some of these. I've got a list of words that I practice with, but we don't have many G's in Italian that are doubled. So you can say agnello, agnello, which is that soft G sound. Same thing though. Agnello, agnello, agnello. In Spanish, has that cañón, cañón, niño, niño. So the niño, niño, cañón, cañón. You can use agnello, agnello. The yeah does the same sort of thing. And we're going to do. We're going to try to do a Y, but Italian doesn't really have many Y's, does it? Y attack. But German does. Ya, 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 ya. If I cheat a little bit and sustain a little bit, ya, 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 ya. Any kind of acting that would make me so emphasize the Y will attach me to my diaphragm. See? Then we have L, of course. we have L's all over the place, right? Bella bocca di fanciulla. And then you can add it by doing what some of the singers do. Caruso did it on his recordings. Halla, halla. They say use the triple L and start the breath against the diaphragm. Valsalva maneuver again. Halla, halla, halla. Then we've got M. Fiamma, la fiamma, la fiamma, la fiamma. Some people would already be attaching the first F. Fiamma, 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 fiamma. But if you sustain the B, it's interesting, the M, it's interesting that if I say that M, it goes through my nose. Fiam, but the minute I open, guess what? It jumps out of my nose and jumps up here. La fiamma, not in my nose anymore. Fiam, that's in my nose. Fiamma, fiamma. See? There are a few mysteries around. One of the old exercises was the lip clamp. I learned it from Helge Rosweiger, and he said, just clamp your lips together as tight as you can. And of course, the voice goes through the nose. But if I open my mouth, fiamma, fiamma. There we are. So there are a few mysteries around where you have to. We can either try to understand them or we can just forget them and just sing. Because if you get diaphragmatic when you're singing, people like it. They love that sound. It's probably the most natural sound in the world because it's what babies do. When babies go, ah, ah, ah. You can hear them pressing, leaning. Some people say push the breath against it. But I've never liked the word push because it tends to tighten you up. But you can certainly lean. You can certainly lean. Tetsusini said, like you lean a ladder against a wall. Well, how heavy is the ladder, though? We don't really need that kind of weight. You can just do it with your pinky finger. La, ha, but it's the same function as ba, ba, ba. In fact, the ba may be heavier than a finger. It may be a whole arm, right? So we want to get, so we do these. We have L, and then we have M, and then we have N. Na, 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 la penna, un anno. How long have you been here? 1 year, right? Un anno, un anno, un anno, un anno, anno. Same thing. It's in my nose, and when I open, anno, it's not in my nose, it jumps up into the mouth because it's diaphragmatic. That's the beauty of the double consonants. Nearly, well, probably all of them go right to an attachment on the diaphragm, right? Then you got P. There's all kinds of double P's, as you know. Doppio, doppio, doppio. If I start with D, my nose is already closing. Doppio. When I hold that double P, the pressure is right there on my diaphragm. Doppio, 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 doppio. Where is that? Where do you feel it? And how do you get it? You can always add pressure, extra pressure to make something a little more dramatic, but you really shouldn't have to if you pronounce these consonants correctly. Ba, 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 ba. It's enough. Why do I need more than that? Right? You sing la donna mobile. The second word is donna, a double consonant. Then you start looking through the music and you're like, wait a minute, golly. Una furtiva lagrima negli occhi tuoi. In other words, how many double consonants do you run into along the way just singing an aria or singing a song? We have to sing, used to have to sing somebody, che fiero costume dall'igero numi, che forza di bere si faccia adorar. Right? You have all kinds of little moments, little instances of double consonants. And when you do, they all connect you to your diaphragm. Right? So let's try R. La terra, la terra, la terra, la terra, la terra, la terra, la terra. When do I use the double R? When I see two of them in a word. Ra, ra. Some people put them at the beginning of a word sometimes. Ra, they're nearly always pronounced next to another consonant, right? Parla, 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 parti, quando parti, quando parti. But anyway, all of them that are rolled, not flipped, but the rolled ones, tend to react in the diaphragm. Then you have S, of course. Adesso. Quando vogliamo fare questo? Adesso. Non voglio aspettare. Non voglio aspettare. I don't want to wait. Aspettare. That's the next letter we're going to do in this lift, which is, we're on S right now. We're about to do T, right? So, if I say, sussurro gentil, sussurro gentil, then it's got a double R. Sussurro gentil. You got double S, double R in one word. It means whisper, right? Sussurro, sussurro. Where in the world is the lean of my breath when I'm supporting and all these people are trying to pull in while they sing and jam the breath up against all those double consonant reactions? Not a good way to sing, guys. It'll tear your throat up eventually. Nearly everybody does that. Gets nodules or ruptures capillaries in the throat, or they just get so they can't sing. Voice gets nasal, and a lot of the ladies get a tremolo. You want to get so that you can go halla, 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 ba, 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 and it's going to be right here, right? Adesso, adesso, adesso. When do we do that? Think about it. Alessandro, Alessandro, Alessandro. Where is that? Aspettare, aspettare, aspettare. Io vado a letto, a letto, a letto per dormire, dormire, dormire. I'm rolling an R because it's next to an M. It's next to a consonant. So, io voglio dormire bene. See, I'm not really making double consonants there. I'm just pronouncing the R. It kicks me right onto my diaphragm. But the PQR, and then we got R, S, T, U, V. Oh my goodness, what about V? Avventura, avventura, avventura. You say adventure in English, adventure. You don't stop on the V. In Spanish, you say aventura. And in French, you say aventure. So none of them stop. Right? In German, it's Abenteuer, so it's not even, doesn't even resemble the same word. But when I get to Italian, avventura, 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 you have to stop the double V. And then X, Y, Z, you've got Y, and they're not Y's in this sense in Italian. Ya, 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 ya. You got agnello, agnello, and that's a kind of Y. Agnello, agne, but they write it as an E, which is the Y is. In fact, the Y is called an E epsilon in Greek. It's not even called a Y. It is a type of E, right? But agnello, 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 agnello means the lamb, the little lamb, right? Agnello, 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 agnello. And you think of, you have that Y in German. Ya, 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 ya. And you can use it if you want to sometimes you don't. They have that in Spanish when they say already, ya. I think it's spelled J-A, right? Ya, 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 yo, you, yeah, ya. Anyway, if you use it, you want to make sure that you can double it a little bit, especially when you're warming up, so that it finds its reactionary process in the diaphragm. I don't really have to double it. Yeah. This brings up a whole other point that if I know where it is, I shouldn't have to double it to get it there. I should remember where it went when I went ba 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 ba. I shouldn't have to do it at all if I remember where that place is, right? Then we got Z. Now what do we do about something like a Z? Well, I think I'm going to eat a piece of pizza. Or I will say, I will take a piece of pizza, right? Io prendo un pezzo di pizza. You can't say peso, and you can't say pizza. Not in Italian. You say pezzo di pizza, pezzo di pizza, pezzo di pizza. What happens when I stop that Z? What happens down here? See? The pressure of breath comes from behind me and goes, pezzo di pizza. And as you go along, you begin to realize that Italian really is a language that the singers must learn. You have to learn Italian. It is the singer's language, but it is a language that does almost require you to sing diaphragmatically. You can sing French all day and Spanish all day. Think about it. And there are no double consonants to think about very much. You just sing along. In fact, I was told, never make a double consonant in French. It's absolutely wrong, period. No, never do it. So you're supposed to sing everything like it's a single consonant, let's say. But if you get a language that lets you stop them, then it will help your singing and you'll become a diaphragmatic singer. See? So I'm going to say my vote is for Italian, and it should be required learning for all singers. You take some, then you have the consonant plus another consonant, like cry, cry. Cry, cry, cry. That's all I know, singing English. Please don't cry for me, don't cry for me. And you can go through text and study, and find places that give you a breath stop, that give you a Valsalva maneuver. La, I can do Armando Garcia's miniature cough. La, I can do the hiccup. Coeli, la. But if I can do a double consonant, la, la, ba, ba, that little buildup of pressure against my diaphragm maintains the connection to it all the time. And it doesn't have to be loud. You can do it softly. I used to practice it all the time when I did le messe di voce, the crescendo, and I'd go, and you try to practice the softest sound you can make and still make double consonants. First of all, if you're going to sing them in Italian, you're going to sing mezza voce in Italian, you're going to have control of a soft sound while you're singing the text, right? Some of this text doesn't have any. There aren't any sometimes, and for a little stretch. And then all of a sudden they're there. Questo quella, baby, passa, sì. Questo quella, baby, sono a cantare. E ritorno, mi vedo, right? Questo quella, there's a quella right off the bat, the beginning of that, right? You've got Nascimigi, guarda mille, opening line of La Moe. I've got mille already. Nascimigi, guarda mille, comigno di Parigi. See, all over the place, these double consonants pop up, and if you're singing good Italian. And you've learned the effect of a good solid double consonant. It should, of course, jump out of line. This is not Xavier Cugat's orchestra, which, of course, I love. But the we don't need. We just need a little bit. La, 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 la. Now, what if it's not written? La, 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 la. Right? Where did I do my double consonants? Do I remember? Have I forgotten already? Have I forgotten where it is? You know, Benjamin and Gigli had a voice that was, they say, second only to Caruso's in beauty. A magnificent, beautiful, opulent, fantastic tenor voice. But he was criticized his whole career for sobbing. If I sob, I'm really doing a falsetto attachment. So I wonder why Gigli had to make an audible sob all the time. What do you think about that? Do you think you could remember where your attachment is? Do I need to constantly renew my my sob or not? Do I really need to do that? Or can I remember where one of them was? And a double consonant, can I go, halla? Do I remember where it is? Halla, halla, halla. Bob, 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 bob. Now, do I remember where that is? What do you think? In van nascondo la mia vera tortura. Do I remember where that was? Or do I have to sob? Or do the double effect all over the place to try to keep it there? See? So this brings in the whole idea of having to sing louder because of it, or exaggerating it, and you don't want to do either one. You want to really, it's beautiful to sing the language very elegantly, and you hope that, by golly, it'll just sound terrific if you do that, and you hope that you're doing it right and you're doing a good job of it, right? I've got ora per sempre addio santa memoria. Now Verdi could have written that any way he wanted to, but he would right before the high note, right? Isn't that interesting? He's got in fourth sestina, he's got salisti bella in colore. Do I really need to write a B and an L up there? Maybe Mr. Verdi wanted something. Maybe he wanted to help the singers. Who knows? Help them be diaphragmatic. Help them sing in a way that kept the voice up here in the resonance all the time. Anyway, this is something for everybody to think about. I hope you all start Italian lessons today. You can always just get on the internet and listen to Italian. You can also just start learning. If you learn 10 words a day, can you imagine? What would happen if you did that for a year? 365 days times 10, you know, 36,500 words by next year. How many do you need for a conversation? Especially if you learn the vocabulary for rehearsal and backstage and understanding the conductor. You don't need to know how to describe the cockpit of a 747. You don't need all of the language. You need enough of the language to use it in your area that you're involved in work, let's say, your job, whatever that is. If you're a singer, then you need to know the Italian words that you're going to use in rehearsals, and you need to know how to pronounce them, and then you want to take advantage of any kind of double consonants that you have, because it's the only language that's going to provide them to you. You can try. You'll hear some singers in German trying to exaggerate, right? And it doesn't sound like the beautiful, elegant thing you'd want to hear. See? Dies Bild ist bezaubernd schön, wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. I mean, listen to the Fischer this guy. He made a whole career exaggerating his consonants. Ich hielt ein Bächlein rauschen, wohl aus dem Felsenquell. Right? Everybody says, oh, what marvelous diction. It's so clear, except that it does disturb the legato. Right? French, you can't do it. French is supposed to be forbidden. But you can sing it on the same location of where your breath is attaching to your diaphragm. In other words, where your Valsalva maneuver is working and giving you a breath stop. But that's all terminology. Okay, I hope that will give everybody a little something to think about, and why I am rooting for Italian, and I want everyone to learn to speak Italian and to learn to sing beautiful Italian. And if you have to, go to Italy and spend some time. Maybe go to a total immersion language course. You know, I sent all my students to the one in Siena, which was very, very popular and very elegant. And that's supposed to be the best Italian pronunciation in Italy is in Siena, they say. So anyway, thanks very much for listening. Bye.